With the technological explosion of the 2270s, Starfleet's creative minds would get a chance to explore their designing craft. But one class, the Federation Class Refit, would dash the hopes of Starfleet Command. But what's the story behind this intended powerhouse starship design? Well, today we'll find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon, a Star Trek web series that dives into the history of any given topic using Beta Canon sources and my own imagination to fill in the gaps. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the Federation Class Refit to better understand its place in Star Trek history. Please note, this is a very interesting video for me. Having grown up and completely in love with the Federation Class Dreadnought from the Franz Joseph Technical Manual, I had always wondered why the class didn't appear as a refit version throughout Beta Canon, like many of the other Joseph designs had. Sure, there was some cover art for a TOS-era novel, which showed a Frankenstein version of the class, and a comic with a few panels dedicated to it, but overall Beta Canon has been silent on this topic. And so, with my imagination being as it is, I created a story behind the class that explains why it wasn't out there defending the Federation from its enemies. But of course, and as always, because this is just a bit of Beta Canon and fan fiction, all information relayed should pretty much be taken with a grain of stardust, and only considered a little bit of Star Trek fun. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. The Constitution-class refit program had been a major success for Starfleet Command. Utilizing all the breakthroughs in technologies made in the 2260s, the Starship Enterprise had been reborn and saved the planet Earth on its very first mission. And thanks to this success, Starfleet Command began countless projects into creating new classes and reinventing old classes to fit with the new technology and aesthetic of the Constitution-class refit. Classes like the Miranda, Constellation, and Abby classes would begin to pop up throughout the next 2 decades, all echoing the mother of the new design aesthetic. Given the nature of starship design and construction, the public is rarely informed of a class's existence until after the class is launched, meaning that if Starfleet creates a class that fails, citizens throughout the Federation never know about it. During the original launch of the Constitution class in 2245, Starfleet once again would change its aesthetic and redevelop its fleet based on that design and its new duotronic technology. Highly successful classes like the Saladin, Hermes, and Ptolemy classes would begin to grace the galactic scene over the next decade, with another crowning jewel moment coming in the form of the Federation Class Dreadnought, a 3-nacelle tactical powerhouse designed to keep the Federation's enemies at bay. And during the 2260s, the class had performed remarkably well, causing Starfleet to begin a project of refitting the design similar to that of the Constitution class shortly after the Enterprise's launch. Sitting at a length of 335 meters, the Federation Class Refit would be designed to be operated by 525 officers and crew members. So sure was Starfleet of the class's success that they would even forego the tradition of giving the USS Federation an NX registry designation, and quietly began to lay space frames for several new vessels of the class. To accommodate all the new technological breakthroughs, many of its original design elements would be changed due to the new vertical warp core system and Starfleet's intent for speed of the class. The main deflector dish's size would need to be increased, forcing the removal of the forward-facing shuttle bay, placing it aft within the secondary hull, again much like the Constitution class. Also, her enhanced sensor and communications arrays would be removed entirely. But with all the other advancements in technology, Starfleet's team assigned to redesign the Federation class felt these changes wouldn't be a big deal, as the newer technology already outperformed the Federation class's original technology by leaps and bounds. Theoretically, the Federation class refit would have a standard safe cruising speed of warp factor 8 to 8.5, with an emergency maximum speed of warp factor 13 to 14, all old warp scale speeds of course. Tactically, she would be equipped with the new dual phaser emitter banks, as well as the newly developed torpedo launching systems, with its primary protection coming from the newly upgraded shield systems, which would become standard for the time. Launched in 2274, Starfleet's top brass would be present for the shakedown ceremony, all with smiles and cups full of Saurian brandy. But those smiles would quickly vanish when the starship itself underperformed on all levels. Instead of the increased speed thanks to the theoretical tightening and more powerful warp field the Federation class was supposed to be able to create, the class itself was only able to outperform the Constitution class refit design by 0.2 of a warp factor, with the new warp field geometry created for the vertical warp core already optimized to its full potential. Since its new dual phaser emitter banks ran through the warp core, again like the Constitution class refits had, meant that there was no increase in phaser power, and with the loss of its additional sensor and comm arrays, meant that again the starship's design showed no real improvements over the Constitution class refit. Returning to dry dock, its design engineers attempted to work out all the bugs, and give their new baby a fighting chance on the galactic stage. But with each subsequent launch for a new shakedown, it would become clearer and clearer that the class would simply never work, and by 2276, Starfleet Command would declare the project a disappointing failure. Citizens throughout the Federation would never be informed of the attempt to upgrade the Federation Class Dreadnought, and the USS Federation itself would be officially logged as decommissioned. Recently declassified Starfleet records indicate that the USS Federation would return to dry dock in 2276, and with Starfleet Command unsure as what exactly to do with the starship, she would remain there for almost an entire year, before the decision was made to refit the Refit Dreadnought into another Constitution-class refit vessel, removal of her third nacelle, and a little bit of re-engineering, both externally and internally, and the USS Federation would be reborn into the USS New Jersey-A, becoming one of Starfleet's first starships to receive a dashed letter designation, beginning a trend that would last throughout Starfleet's entire lifetime. Created to be a tactical powerhouse, only to fail in every way possible to impress, the Federation-class refit program would have remained a forgotten part of Starfleet's starship design lore, if not for the efforts of Federation historians scouring Starfleet records centuries after they had been made. But now, even as a failure, the Federation-class refit program and the USS Federation itself can assume its rightful place out of the shadows and into Starfleet history. Thank you for watching today's episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon. What do you think of the Federation class refit and the historical narrative that I've created here? Do you want to see more videos like this one? Well, leave your comments in the section below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, hitting that little bell icon so you won't miss a single video we release. Want to help the channel create a starship class that doesn't fail across the board? Then consider becoming a channel patron, a major help that allows this channel to purchase resources and 3D models to keep it going. The link to our Patreon account is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, live long, and prosper.